From the beginning, the divine feminine has always been. She is the great mother, the origin from which all life stems. All praise the Most High. The royal is a meetup. The royal is a meetup. The royal is a meetup. Tall panel podcast. The royal is a meetup. The royal is a meetup. The royal is a meetup. Tall panel podcast. Two sisters doing the work of the Most High. On a mission to be the voices of the unheard. We doing a new thing in the earth, as it was written in Jeremiah 31 and 22. We were called from our mother's womb, and we both just want to say thank you to our higher power. Shalom. We on a mission, setting examples for our people. Pray to God every day, Lord, we need you.
Peace and love, everyone. Assalamu alaikum and shalom.
Greetings.
Peace and love, family.
Assalamu alaikum.
Good to see you all. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Kevin. It's good to see you.
Wa alaikum salam, my sister. Good to see you too.
And Maisha, shalom. Shalom, Sister Yadoa. And Sister Adanya.
Shalom, family. It's wonderful to see you guys again. This is going to be a hot topic tonight. I'm excited.
Most definitely. Most definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Brother Preacher Dawson, how are you?
All is well. How you doing?
All is well. I can't complain.
Okay.
I don't have my head wrap on today, everybody.
Look, mine's is wrapped and yours isn't for the first time.
It's probably going to be like a few other people chiming in as the time persists. You know we on what they call it, Black Man time.
CP time.
CP time.
Yeah, there you go.
Alrighty. Well, we're not going to prolong you because we're already running behind. I was trying to have some technical difficulties here, but we would like to welcome you all. This is the Royal Meetup Talk Panel. We do this monthly, every third Sunday of the month. We discuss different topics that relate to our community, the melanated community, the Israelite, or just Black community in general. So this is our second podcast of the year. We've been doing this for about a little over a year now. Mm-hmm. And so today, since it's, being that it's Black History Month, we want to deal with that because I saw something, I've been seeing something online a lot. It seems like every generation we change our identity, our name. We've gone from colored, Negro, Black, African American, and now it's FBA. But I kind of like FBA. I think of all the things that we've called ourselves, especially those of us who are probably born here from generation after generation, probably came over on a boat. You know what I mean? Our ancestors. Mm-hmm. FBA seems to apply most to us now. Whether you identify as a Muslim, Israelite, Christian, Kemetic community, whatever it is that you may spiritually identify as, one thing we all seem to have in common is our ancestry of how we got here to a certain extent. If you don't agree, feel free to say, you don't agree with that. But for the most part, most of our ancestors probably did arrive on a ship. So that being said, when you say FBA, everyone knows what FBA is, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to assume it means Foundation Black America. Is that correct? But I don't want to assume anything.
Yes, Foundational Black America.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Okay.
Yes. So, when you say African American, right? Mm. I don't even feel like that's fully correct because that can, host a lot of different ethnicities, or should I say nationalities, that are not necessarily FBA. Right? Mm-hmm. Because if someone comes from Nigeria or Ghana, they're definitely an African American, but they're not technically who we are. You know what I mean?
I actually have something to add to that.
Uh-huh.
You know why we don't need to be calling ourselves that? Because for one, those are two separate continents, right?
Mm-hmm.
And both of those continents are named after European, I think either Greek or Italian or either the Greek, one of the two. They're two European conquerors.
Yeah.
who conquered the continents. So why should we give ourselves names of European conquerors for our nationality, and they look nothing like us? I think one of them is Africanus, and the other one is Verstucci. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we need to stop calling ourselves that.
My sister and both of y'all, the name Foundation Black America, man, some brother Kevin Jamal Muhammad, Nation Islam, Springfield, Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
Thank y'all for having this program, and to the brother who's on the program today. I think this is very much needed discussion. I like the name Foundation Black America because without America, we are the true foundation. I
Mm-hmm.
go one step further. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Honorable Louis Farrakhan does teach us that we are the original people of the planet. So no matter where you go on the planet, we are there. We have no birth record.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, these names that what you say, America, Jamaica, whatever you name, these are all names that has been formed by a former slave master, European descent. He was given 6,000 years of rule in our belief. And I'm going to meet like that. I mean, talk about the Caucasian race. So wherever they went around, they was given time to rule. They name and define on their own names. So whether you, like you say, America, Africa, Jamaican, Haiti, we see these are all names that by our former slave master and his children. Even like some of the HBCUs. We have some of HBCU. I went to Wilberforce University, proud graduate in 2017, but it's by somebody who is European. So this is the reason why I like the names that you guys are giving, Foundation Black America, because we don't know we are the true foundation, but that's something we got to tell our own and tell a story. So I thank y'all, brothers and sisters, for having this program.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time.
And as you were saying something earlier about the names, right? Brother Muhammad probably can attest to this. Is that not one of the reasons why the Nation of Islam adopts the last name of X to drop the slave master's name?
That is correct. When we first come into the knowledge of re-educating ourselves, just like our brothers and sisters in the Hebrew Israelites, when we come into a new knowledge of the self, we drop the European education system because we feel that we have to be re-educated again. And we like that we come in with the X. That's when you had Brother Malcolm. He came in and you get the X because the X stands we don't know what our names is. If you go on YouTube, you can see a discussion with Brother Malcolm with what these European white men back in the 60s. They were getting very, very upset when he did not want to acknowledge his slave master's name. And videos on YouTube, anyone can ever see it. And then also you see Muhammad Ali, formerly known as Cassius Clay, when he told them, I want you to stop calling me by my European name. And you see, even to this day, I don't know if you have, I went through that myself when I changed my name to Muhammad. There's a lot of Europeans and some Black people who don't have a knowledge of self were very, very upset with me for doing that. I feel that your brothers and sisters have had the same problem too, when you want to change it up to something spiritual, something meaning, and then you want to drop something from our former slave master. The tenants from our families get upset. And then also, too, our former slave master and his children get upset.
That's right. I did the same thing. I actually changed my last name legally to Yasharallah, being a member of the Hebrew Israelite community, which in ancient Paleo Hebrew, it actually means Israel. According to the scripture, Isaiah 45:5, I believe, it states is written in scripture for us to change, for our surnames to be Israel. And so to be inconspicuous in public, many people don't have knowledge of the ancient Paleo language. So that's actually perfect because I'm in, but I actually don't blend in. But at the same time, I'm not really exposing myself out there to be targeted. But I dropped that slave name.
Gotcha.
Most definitely.
When it comes to being a foundational Black American, there's a lot going on in the news right now with the immigration, deportation, the DEI recall, and something I got to thinking because I heard someone say something. It was a little insensitive, but they were saying, "Oh, what are we gonna do now if they get rid of all the Latinos? Who's gonna cut the lawns? Who's gonna do this? Who's gonna do that?" Right? But I'm like, before that was even a thing, we've been here. We've been doing these things. We've been from the foundation. That's the whole point. There could be no foundation if it wasn't for us. They literally built this country on blood, sweat, tears, and bodies of Black people, right? From the
Right.
beginning of time. I'm sure if we go dig up under that White House, we're going to find plenty of melanated skeletons underneath it. You
That's right.
understand?
Oh, yeah, more than that.
Yeah. So, so with that being said, I wanted to go to the history, but let me deal with our present. Does anyone have any feelings towards that DEI recall? Like, do you really think that is going to affect us because, now
The
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 DEI?
DEI.
Yeah. Do you
Oh, I
think
mean,
that's going to have any
we've
effect
done
on
some
us?
research in the nation. I think I'm sure I'm starting to see a lot of our intelligent brothers and sisters in the community. Hebrew Israelites done a great job. I think what I've seen and when I'm on social media that the DEI programs, we were at the bottom of getting the benefit. First, we were getting most of the benefits of DEI programs for white women. And then I think second was white men with Native American descent. I forget who was third or fourth or fifth, but we were very dead last. And so these programs that are offered, I can just speak on a personal situation. We had a situation at the VA where we had a situation where it came to a point, y'all know, June, they call it Pride Month. They got a chance to fly their flag during June of 2 years ago. Well, when it came to Black History Month of 2 years ago, about a year and a half ago, we had to fight the administration like health as far as the red, black, and green flag. So with these DEI programs, there's still always a layer of red tape that Foundation Black Americas have to always got to prove that we got to show who we are. So, I mean, I don't know if anybody else have seen some things or had some instances, but that's what I've had of some instances of the DI programs. It wasn't really fully like in given to us, and we was dead last according to the stats I've seen. But I'd be glad to hear if anybody have any differences here on the DI programs.
I'm in agreement with you, brother Muhammad. I actually got word from a few people that they are a lot of our people in different organizations, they are arranging boycotts against all companies who are not following through with these DEI programs. And Target is one of them.
Right.
Yeah.
It just seemed like to me it's like if we're gonna do it, I'm okay with it. I guess the situation is that I guess with us, especially being with the Nation of Islam and Hebrew Israelite community, is that we got to come to agreement that we got to do things for ourselves. I'd rather
Right.
support y'all making clothes and doing stuff than giving Target any of my money anyway. So if
Exactly.
they'll give us a handout, that's been sure, they'll hire a few of us, put a few of in management. About 5-10 years later, they'll go right back and doing things. So I just rather for us to start looking at some things about how Foundation Black America, if we got businesses, and if you selling things that you can get from you instead of Target, that's just where we are right now in the nation. As for me personally, I like to support my own first. If I don't care how much the cost. I mean, because I know that in due time, Target and all these companies are going to go right back eventually and find another way to violate us again. I feel,
Exactly.
but I rather support your sisters and brothers in the Hebrew Israelites who make a product, lotions, skincare,
Hmm.
healthy food, and stuff we get in these shirts, stuff we get in these companies
Hmm.
anyway. I mean, I've seen there's a few businesses who got their products in there. I've seen that. But the question is that if they're not going to benefit us as a whole, why do we support these stores anyway? That's just where I'm at. But I'm sure if somebody may have a different point of view, and that's fine. But I just like to support my own because I think we make products just as better than what we get in these stores anyway.
Absolutely. I have a website where all these products that you've named, I actually sell a lot of these
Okay.
products, and I'm going to put the website link in the comment section before we all chime off. But there's another issue
I
when
was
it comes to that. I love to support Black businesses too. However, I'm sure a lot of you on here can agree that a lot of us, we don't do so well with giving each other the best customer service. And we have issues with trusting one another. And
But
we also have issues with not giving each other like our best and like putting our best foot forward towards serving one another with our services and with our products and different things like that. You all know what I'm talking about. We have to we have to do better with that.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
but
I
here's
want
the thing with
that
that
part too.
though. We say that a lot, but let me tell you something. Nobody stopped going to the Asian nail shops, have they? With all the drama that they have got, nobody stopped going to the. We haven't stopped patronizing one non-black store because of the issues we've been given. We may boycott for a season, and then we forget and go right back and shop with them. So how can you have this smoke, this heat for your own people to say, well, Leroy talked to me rude that day, so I'm never going back to his shop again. But Billy Bob and whoever else can call you out your name, stare at you, follow you around the store, and you'll still go back and patronize his business and give him all your black dollars. So
True.
I think we're a little hypocritical in that sense. You know what I mean? You can't keep patronizing the others and they're rude to you. But when it comes to your brother and sister, man, I ain't never forget them. I don't care. I mean,
I agree.
I think our problem is that we try to put ourselves in a high esteem and regard because we see our own brothers and sisters. Like, okay, like with the Asian shops. When I went to a nail shop and I was mistreated, and they were talking about me in a particular language, and now you got me waiting 2 hours to get my nails done. You're talking about me. Didn't know in that time I was on YouTube studying what you're saying so I can have the best response back. And then when I found out I said something in Vietnamese, oh, well, you go to this guy. The guy said, oh, I don't understand. From time I said, Sawadi mon shwe. Sawadi. We need to stop playing with each other's intelligence. So my thing wasn't, the nail shops, I am not going back to their nail shops. I only get sisters to do my nails.
Oh, I do my own nails now.
I go to a sister. She does a sister who's been doing it in her house, doing the best she can. When I get my hair done, I only let my sisters and brothers or my nieces do my hair. I am trying now, the state of Minnesota, we're always the ones to be loud and proud about this. So now we're starting our own black Facebook group where all the businesses, I did not know we had so many black businesses in the state of Minnesota.
Wow.
That have been begging for
Same here in Columbus too, isn't that right, Brother Muhammad?
Yes.
I didn't know we had so many black
there's a lot of
grocery
black
stores
businesses.
here.
Yeah.
But this the thing is that once we get, and like the sister said, we get tired, we get huffy, they get underneath our skin, and then we go back to them.
Yeah.
No, keep applying pressure. We have to learn how to keep applying pressure.
That's right.
I know Brother Dawson trying to say something. Go ahead, Preacher Dawson.
I was trying to be respectful because everybody was talking. But back to the thing that they were saying, or whatever they call it. I agree with my brother that what he was saying earlier, that we need to get to a point where we're building our own businesses. But do y'all notice that a lot of times when we be fighting for certain things, we be fighting on behalf and it benefit others more than it benefit us. And I like the idea that a lot of people start to come up with, like buying land and creating their own towns and all that kind of stuff. It's nothing new under the sun. They done it fast, but you see a generation trying to clean bite to that. And I think that would be a good idea when we start shopping more among each other and showing the rest of, because we the people that civilization came from. So, and when we left alone, we excel. So what we got to do is start by coming together as a unit, and you know what I mean, and work that angle instead of caught up in what's going on, because everything that's going on now was prophesized that it was going to come and pass. It was going to happen.
Yeah.
So we already know that, and we know what. Now, without preaching, I always talk about creation, fall, and redemption, and it's all going back to it's all circulating in the plan that God already had. So since we know that, we can't be rearing well doing. We got to keep coming together on one accord and moving forward. And I'm gonna leave it at that, so I'm gonna get into the preacher mode. But
Go ahead and preach, brother.
Go ahead and take us to church.
Yes, sir.
I think Sister Tangia wanted to say something. And before she speaks, look, it's not that many of them here tonight. We family, just speak up. We don't have to be so formal. Just of course courtesy, but speak up, please.
Greetings, everyone. This is Sister Tangia, and it is great to be amongst some wise individuals, like-minded individuals, and to piggyback off of what everyone is saying is that in a nutshell, we all have to just come together.
Mm-hmm.
We are greater in numbers. We have to mean what we say and say what we mean. If you're going to um, build back your communities, we have to action speak louder than words. We could keep saying every day what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, what we're going to do. All the marching and protesting, all that stuff is over. It's not it's time, it's action. Our ancestors
Mm-hmm.
done did enough marching and getting beat and bumping their heads to where now we know what we need to do to bring our communities together as one. You know, these people come over here, they make their money, they send their money back overseas to take care of their families. But we sitting here where the black dollar don't last past 10 minutes in our community
Isn't that the
before we
truth?
take it and before we're taking our monies and sharing it somewhere else because you because personally you feeling like you can't trust your brother or your sister, your fellow brother or sister, somebody you done live next to, somebody you done mamas done work together, kids go to school together, all of this, but you rather take your money and give it to somewhere else where they're going over there living amongst themselves, raising their children, building legacies for their families. But we sitting here a complete divided nation, completely divided. And instead of teaching our children, because if they continue to see division amongst us as elders, mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers, our children gonna be lost.
You know, I have a question for y'all. Do you all think that the psychology behind the Willie Lynch letter has something to do with why we refuse to patronize with one another and to support one another?
Yes, oh yes, ma'am.
Yep, that plays
It's
a major role in it.
Yeah.
it's all the I just don't like that analogy, the crab in the bucket, but it's just that each other pulling each other down. It don't matter if you go up a tree and somebody pulling you down by your foot, and you got to fight to keep this person from pulling you down in this tree. And that's what we have had to deal with forever.
Mm-hmm.
And we're dealing with it now.
But we were
400
DEI
years.
we were
DEI ain't never exist. It was just something just to mute people and keep or order in their organizations. Now it's snatched away and everybody like, oh, now you realizing the person you don't work with 20 years ain't never liked you.
Exactly.
You know,
I know
my
you ain't.
Wait, wait.
I'm sorry.
as far as the mentality that we can change the narrative when it comes up. We can change the narrative when it comes to the ones we engage in and those that know us. And we keep knowing that we can play it forward and come together.
Exactly.
Exactly. I
Hmm.
know Maisha wanted to say something. Go ahead, Sister Maisha.
Hey, good evening, everybody.
Peace and
Greetings,
love,
So,
sister.
sis.
Assalamu alaikum.
Where you from?
Florida, Riverview, Florida.
Okay.
Um, I wanted to piggyback off the DEI. I was gonna say it benefited, it just didn't benefit us. We had to work
At all.
4 times as hard to get a quarter back. It benefited white women and Asians.
Mm-hmm.
And and it was so crazy because the laws that was there to protect us benefited everyone else. And so they did a good job of having people look at us like we're the enemy. And they felt like because they were in so much proximity to white that it was right until they realized the carpet was pulled up under them and it was only benefiting them. Now they're looking for us to protest with them. No, like because if it was going to continue to benefit them, they wouldn't care about us. And I'm learning that it's not everyone. I'm gonna put that out there. It's not everyone, but it is a lot. When you looked at the polls and you saw the majority of legal Hispanic people, legal Indians voting for Trump. And I was astounded. I was like, really, Indians actually voted for him. It was an eye opener. at the allies that we thought we had, we don't have. So that's all I have to say about the DEI. As far as us with the whole crabs in a barrel thing, there is I have pros and cons about this. And the first thing is we've all dealt with black businesses sometimes that did not have the best customer service. You know what I mean? I think we have to, whether we are the consumer or we're the ones supplying the goods, we have to do better by each other. That's what I have to say about that. We have to actually do right by each other, because
Absolutely.
we just don't. It's sometimes that I've ran into, and I'm like, I never want to, and I want to do business with other black people, but sometimes it is very hard to do it with other black people when the customer service or whatever isn't bad. But the flip
Absolutely.
side of that, I'm willing to give another chance.
Absolutely.
I think we're too quick to cut each other off. It's
Yeah.
so many people out here, businesses, Gucci, Louis Vuitton, people who don't even want us wearing our stuff, but we gon' kill
Exactly.
each other to try to
Mhm.
get it. So if
Exactly.
we can continue to give chances to people who hate us and don't even want us in their stuff, I believe we
Ooh,
able to do that for each other. That's all I have to say.
exactly, sister. Yes, ma'am.
Totally agree.
Okay.
Totally agree. Yeah.
Speaking of that DEI, I've been seeing a lot online where there's kind of a little back and forth between Latinos and Black people, where some Latinos are calling on Black people to help with this fight, saying, first if it's us now, it's going to be you later, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of feel like, well, the target was never off us, so you know,
Exactly.
it's always been us. But what do you all feel about us aiding in their struggle? Do we have a dog in that fight, or is this one of those we
That's
just
not
sit
our
back and
fight.
watch? We just sit
Yeah.
back and watch.
That
That's
don't
not
that
our fight, because
that
if
don't
you
have
look
nothing to
at,
do with
that's what
us.
I was just saying. When you look at who went to the polls legally,
Yeah.
so it was a lady who was Cherokee, and Mexican, and she came in on IG and wanted to tag me and talk to me. And this is not the teaching moment you thought it was, ma'am. We're not new to this. We're true to this. The target has never been off our back. We did what we were supposed to do. We always come in and wear our capes and try to protect and help. But when it's our fight, nobody shows up for us like that. It's very few that shows up for us the way that we show up for everyone else. So when you look at the polls and you see 92% of our people went out to vote for what we thought was right, and then you see the majority of Hispanics, you need to have that teaching moment with the marginalized group that showed up and showed out for Trump. This ain't me. I'm done. My cape is put up in the closet, and I'm gonna sit back and yeah.
I know that's right. I'm down with that. I totally agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
We have
Yeah.
enough on our hands already. This is my opinion. We already have too much balls to juggle already.
Well, I mean, it's no different from the civil rights. I mean, everybody knows the civil rights movement. If you look at it, it's benefited other people. We were at the forefront, and a lot of our ancestors, like Dr. Martin Luther King,
Mm-hmm.
and those brothers and sisters who fought in the '60s in the movement, and we thank them for that. I'll give them,
Mm-hmm.
But the question is that we have to look at that, in this different time, there's a different solution. I think for some of us, for ourselves and other generation, us taking care of ourselves, being separate from our open enemy and establishing things for ourselves is what we feel is what's going to have to happen. Because if we continue to do this, if we look at the last, say, 20 years, we can see that it's us that's got to go back and see if we got to be able to have the right to vote. It's
Mm-hmm.
us who still been first fired, last hired. There's us who get the loans at a higher rate. So I guess the question for us is that we continue to go through this, but we still want to fight this situation. And I'm thinking that I feel that we're going to be forced to work together, which we're starting to see a lot of us are. I'm starting to see, and when people have different stories, I mean, this is not one all spill all, but I'm starting to see different people say, okay, we're getting tired of the situation here. There are people who are looking at buying land. There's people who are coming together, working together. They never worked together before. So, I mean, it's unfortunate that, Mr. Trump is a win. He's born on the dry bones, and the dry bones are standing up. And we are coming together. We are making some adjustments. And again, it's not going to be an overnight where everybody's going to be just unified. But I think it's a process we got to look at that we are doing. Remember, it was a process to break us down with the disunity. And this is a process for us to get into the unity. I mean, if we look at over the years, what we had to go through here in this country, on this land. But again, one of the things I liked about, we have persevered. I mean, even right after slavery, stuff that we've done, our history, which now they don't want to teach in the schools. Well, it was really never taught right in the schools anyway. We're going to fight and argue with them about teaching us about what we should do. They don't want their children to know the true history. This is about falsehood and truth. When has our open enemy wanted us to know the truth about anything? They don't have that history. I mean, they'll give us a few, but as a whole, they don't want. So why we're shocked that they're fighting or want to continue to keep falsehood, and we should not be shocked about this. That's why we have to separate and have our own and teach our own and do for ourselves, because if we continue to rely on them, all we're going to do is get false promises, false hope, false everything. And by nature of us being the people of God, that's not who we are. We don't want falsehood. We want truth. And that's just who we are. And God has told us, he's given us the truth, and we got to do work with ourselves. So I see ourselves making things happening. I mean, yes, Sister said too, when we definitely got to be professional in doing businesses. But like I said, it is a process. If your brother, sister do you wrong, hey, sister, brother, I think you're not doing right, to get attitude, go to another brother, sister. I've done that plenty of times when I found out a brother, sister didn't want to do it right. Thank you very much. Go to another business that's black owned. They do you right. But I think historical wise, by us doing business compared to I don't think any of us has been told, nigga, get out of here. We may have said that, but we have a real bad history going to the stores and being beat by the police and being told we shoplifting, and we were not. So we have a history here how we've been manipulated by the Sears, the J.C. Penney's, whatever in your cities you live in. I mean, every time I look up Florida, Tennessee, Minnesota, there's somewhere you see somebody black being mistreated by the establishment.
Let me ask you something. When you just talking about having our own, do you really think, or does anyone think, that segregation hurt us? The desegregation, I should say.
In some sense.
Yeah.
I agree.
In some sense, it did hurt us because go ahead, sister. I'm sorry.
No, I was agreeing with you because it kept Black families together. To be honest with you, it kept the finances, the wealth into our own communities. You know what I mean? And of course, we always had issues where whenever we built up, they burnt it down or whatever the case may be. But it was more unity, I felt, back then. And one point that I wanted to bring up is, I know someone, I think it was just the gentleman, where we were talking about they're taking like our histories and stuff out of the school. Our history was never really fully taught. It was always whitewashed. In a way, I think that was the best thing they could have ever done for us, because we as parents, we in the churches, whatever faith that you're in, Hebrew, it will teach us. It give us the opportunity to teach our children the full truth, like somebody was talking about. They need to know the full and unfiltered truth instead of the washed version that we were getting in high school anyway.
Correct.
Exactly.
My sister.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I teach my own, and my children have been ahead. And I think, well, for us to continue to go down to school. But I mean, again, Foundation Black America, we can do that. But it's like after a while, it's like, okay. I mean, I'm sure like any of us in here, if you're married or not married, but I'm sure, none of us going to continue to beg someone to be with you. It doesn't make you feel good about your own God-given talent. You got to beg a man or beg a woman to want to love you or be with you and treat you right. Eventually, your God-given self is gonna say, you know what, I'm tired of this. It's somebody else out here for me who's gonna treat me right. And that's just how I feel about us continuing to beg our oppressing his children by treating us right, teaching us right. They're not going to do it. That's our responsibility. Like you said, my sister, churches, the mosques, the synagogues, whatever, the temples. We got to teach our own, because who knows our history better than us?
Nobody.
Nobody.
You know, I have something to add to this conversation. Speaking of the civil rights movement, I keep up with situations that's going on abroad internationally. And I heard the leader of Burkina Faso. I'm not sure if you all familiar with him.
Mm-hmm.
His name is Ibrahim Traore.
Mm-hmm.
He actually got on the media and he called foundational Black Americans valiant warriors. He said, "You all are valiant warriors." Everybody abroad knows our story. And I don't think a lot of us here realize that we are the forerunners of the earth. Everybody melanated looks to us as a beacon of light, is like an example of what they need to do to overturn their oppressions and to revolutionize their situations, and we don't even realize it. And I have some Israelite brothers and sisters who's living in Europe right now, and they told me that a lot of them are like from Africa, they from the Caribbean or what have you, and they living in Europe right now, right? They're actually enjoying some of the freedoms that they have because of what we've done, because of all the work that our ancestors attributed during the civil rights movement.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to add that, to put my 2 cents in about that.
Did y'all notice too that I seen a clip, one of the Africans leaders was like telling Trump them that because they put the tariffs or whatever on them, that they was gonna shut down America, would they get America and all that, and they I think it was freedom fighter, I forgot what they called them, but they mentioned that, and he was like, we not our ancestors, that we're not gonna bow down to the United States, and we're not gonna he said in so many words he was basically saying, y'all don't try us because we ain't scared.
I heard that too.
You know, that's correct, Pastor. I don't, you know, if you like go to scriptures here, but if you look at the book of Revelations, that's kind of talked about how the dragon is going to flew out a flood.
Yes, sir.
And the earth is going to dry it up. And that's what you got going on with America. That's what we feel. America is that dragon going to put out floods and stuff. And you're starting to see people stand up, because I think people getting tired of being bullied.
Yeah.
You know, especially of us, you know, with, you know, of being the original people, you know, Black people of the planet. We getting tired of seeing this bully. You know, after a while, you're gonna end up saying, you know, and it being, you know, God is on our side. That's the number one. You know, He's on our side on this. You know, God's not the God of oppression, so He's on our side. That's why we're going to win this war. You know, in this battle, we ain't gonna win every battle, and some of us might. And that's just going about the war. We're going to win this war, and this war is against truth versus falsehood. Right. And that's just what it is. I tell brothers, you know, we don't need guns. We don't need cocktails. We just need God in our unity. And that's how we're going to win this.
I just want to add real quick and let y'all continue on. Them 400 years up.
That's right. That's right. Genesis 15:13.
Let me ask, you know, we spoke, a few people have mentioned ancestors so far. What do you think the ancestors would say about our current state?
I know what Harriet would say, but
what do you think she would say?
I can't say it right now.
I can say one of our ancestors would say, and we talk about this. Brother Malcolm probably says, like you said, we've been hooked, winged, and bamboozled.
Isn't that the truth?
In some sense, we've been hooked, winged, and bamboozled.
I think, you know, people, I don't know, I'm gonna say 40 and up probably definitely see things different than, let's say, 30 and under or something, 40 and under when it comes to being an FBA, because I think a lot of people have been fooled that the melting pot theory, that we're all just one people, we're just all the human race, and racism is gone. And, you know, I've seen a lot of younger people, it's just you older people always trying to keep up mess, it ain't like that no more, da 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 da, when I often see it so blatant in front of their face, but they can't recognize it. So, you know, is it the education system is not teaching them? Like, what is it that the younger people can't see, that a lot of this stuff is still going on? It never went away.
Well, you know what, sister, I'd like to address that. I still think that comes from the parenting of the household. I mean, I mean, we said that too. I don't know if I think I'm a little older than a lot of people here. Um, but I came up in the 80s, 70s and 80s. And, some of us were a lot outspoken back there in the 80s. My mom did, most band integration, put me in an all boys school, predominantly white. And I was one of friends who used to say, man, you want to go back to the 60s. Those days are over with. You know what I'm saying? I really feel that in their parents didn't teach them enough about their own history. I've always noticed, and y'all can say this too, those children who talk like that, look at their foundation. Their parents or grandparents are just teaching them to get along, be integrated. We move out to certain neighborhoods because we want to get away from the inner city schools because we feel that they're bad and everything. But when we do that, and I've got friends who've done that, you have to be cautious what's going to happen to our young people. They, especially young black men, they think the playing field is even until they're called nigger or called some type of derogatory name. They lack some of us fathers in their life to teach them some things. And then, sometimes the single mom is forced to just to accept because they don't want to be called racist and stuff like that. I'm dealing with sisters who deal with this on a daily basis. So I think it gets start with the foundation. But those families, like our children, I'm sure on this call, our grandchildren, don't have that problem because we step up to the plate to teach them not about racism, about anti-white, but we teach them the truth. I've always noticed, brothers and sisters, when we teach the truth, it's been labeled anti-white. Well, it's not anti-white if we teach the truth. We are the original people of this planet. We help build America. If you don't want to hear that, then you don't want to get the true foundation of the truth and you want to live in falsehood, that's fine. But we're responding to teach the truth no matter what it is. And then that's what we should be doing. So, I mean, but I noticed that those children who said what you said, I look at their foundation, their parents and grandparents are not teaching them about personal love for self. And anybody who don't have a love for self, you're not going to survive in this world.
Exactly. I feel like this. I feel like a lot of us do lack self-love, and that's just the reason why we don't treat each other right. Because you can't give what you don't have for yourself. And
Thank
do
you.
you all feel that everybody on earth hates us, even the Africans too?
I think it's a condition. And the piggyback off what the last gentleman just said, I feel like it is I feel like America has taught us as blacks to be okay with disrespect and to be complacent and to be in anything that disturbs that, like it's okay to be mistreated or we're going to get labeled as angry or aggressive. You know what I mean? They will be passive aggressive, but when you return the energy, it's like, oh my gosh, they will cry these white tears because how dare you take up for yourself? And it's like, in a way, it's like being backed in a corner, and I can see the frustrations of a lot of people, but you have to learn how to deal with them. You have to learn how to beat them at their own game. And speaking of beating them at their own game, I want you guys to be vigilant. And I know someone said that, we don't need violence and things of that nature, but I do want to reiterate. I want to reiterate something. If it's never, you have to be ready at all times because they are getting ready. They have been trying to poke and prod for a racial war. And if you don't know, I grew up Seventh-day Adventist, but for the last 10 years, I've been in the AME church. And I don't know if you saw this, but this is one of the things that they are angry about right now. So I want y'all to listen to me and hear me with your hearts and not just with your ears. The Proud Boys, one of the racial groups, had did something to one of the AME churches. The AME, which is African Methodist Episcopal, they are the first African American denomination in the United States. It derived out of racism because we were good enough to pay tithes, but we had to go through the back of the church to pray and even go before the other white people had to pray and pull them out of prayer. And that's how they started it. That's how the foundation began. And they have been attacked over and over again. And this last attack from the Proud Boys ended up resulting to the AME in the United States. Black people own the trademarks to the Proud Boys now, and they are angry about it. So they have been saying they're going to cause wars. They're going to go to the churches and do some stuff. So it's a win for us, but it's not a win because now it's getting ready to turn into something else.
Mm.
Well,
I
my
hear
sister,
you.
in fact, later on, let us know about that because we didn't. I'm glad you brought that up. Didn't know nothing about that, and just that same situation. The AMA church shouldn't be fighting this fight by yourself. We should be in that fight with you. The Hebrew Israelites, if as a collective, So look, keep me informed about that because we haven't heard anything here, or at least if because that's what I'm saying. Stuff like that. If we unify together, you mess with AME Church, you mess with us.
Right.
Guarantee you, Proud Boys is going to back off. I know here in Ohio, we've had a lot of racial issues here, from
Oh yeah.
Springfield
Yeah.
to I just saw in
Did you hear
Cincinnati.
about did you guys hear about what happened in Cincinnati with the
Right, yeah,
class?
Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've had a lot of racial problems here. Sister Noah's here down in Springfield. We had to
Mm-hmm.
work with the Haitian community, but a lot of them Proud Boys came here. The Hebrew Israelites came through the neighborhood. We've been here at the nation. So, and we told the community, hey, look, if that's what you want to do, that's fine. But we're going to let you know this, maybe some of us will die, but some of y'all going to die too. And
Is
so
that
you
part?
notice with the officials, when you talk like that, whether it's the mayor or they don't like that type of talk. You know what I'm saying? And because really, like, some of us may have to die to defend, like you said, AME church. You're just not gonna come and blow up bomb churches anymore. That Miss Farrakhan have said those days are over. You ain't gotta like us, but you're not gonna do harm to us. That's when it
Mm-hmm.
stops. And we have to let them know that much. So let sister know and let's see if we can do it. We need to, I can let our national know about that because that's what I'm saying. Stuff like that, that says the Lord. You don't have to like us. That's fine. But you're not
Mm-hmm.
going to do any harm anymore. The day of bombing black churches and all that stuff is over with.
Speaking of unifying, what do y'all
Yes.
think? What do y'all think that we could do to better come together collectively, unifying, um, being able to overlook our personal biblical and religious beliefs so that we can come together and get things done?
I think the spirituality question is what is separating us more than anything. I
Mm-hmm.
cannot, even in the Christian church, I grew up in the Christian church, and Baptists don't want to have nothing to do with Methodists don't want to have nothing to do with apostolic or whatever like that, because everybody feel like their way is the right way. So when you got, even within a certain belief, so much division, and then you talking about unifying with either other groups who don't identify with any of that, I think that's the question. How do we get around our differences in spiritual beliefs to even unify?
Mm-hmm. I feel like a lot of our people act like sheeps. So we need some forerunners to come up and like kind of motivate the mass to say, hey, we need to do this, we need to do that, we need to overlook this, overlook that, because everybody's on different paths and we need to respect that, overlook that small stuff and focus on the prize.
I feel that y'all doing this right here with Foundation Black America. It's called Foundation Black America. You are what you're doing here is a step. Everybody's not going to get on board, but everybody can get on board for anything. But I'm thinking that, like you said, I watched the broadcast. This broadcast, you got Christians, you got Muslims, you got Hebrew Israelites. We're all black,
Mhm.
and like we said, the sister said, I'm glad I've been educated because I didn't know this was going on with the AME church. I have to let my brothers and sisters know about this
Exactly.
and see how we can help with this because I just think that I want for my brothers and sisters what I want for myself.
Right.
Yeah, you're not a member of the nation, but you are because guess what? You're black. And that's what we have to look. If police is pulling us over, I've been pulled over by the police. They ain't not want to ask me one time if you in the Nation of Islam or FY, brother. They just say you black
Let me
and
see your
what
registration.
you are you doing drugs? And I talk to brothers in the Hebrew Israelite community, brothers in Christian community, sisters too. They've been asked a question: where you going? Why are you in this neighborhood? not because if you Christian, your faith never comes up with the police or people like the Proud Boys. They just see you a nigga. You got that skin color the same, and in their eyes, you the open enemy to them. And I'm sure down in what we had in Ohio, they weren't concerned. If y'all watched that video clip, they were just saying, we're not scared of these niggers. They wouldn't tell like these niggers. They won't say, we don't like these Baptist niggers. We don't like these Christian niggers. We don't like these Muslim niggers. They said, we don't like these niggers. F these niggers. That's what they said. Go on the video and watch this, what happened in Ohio just 2 weeks ago. In their station in Ohio, you'll see, like Sister said, them Proud Boys, this is what's going on. So we're going to have to, I think gonna have to put that away and just say, look, sister called me, you need some help, we're on our way. Brother, you need some help in the church, we're on our way. No
Sister
questions asked.
Maisha, I strongly recommend that you inbox Brother Muhammad and give him the information that you think he may need to get in contact with your people. I recommend that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I'll send a link out too. I'm gonna try to put it in the chat, or I send it to you, sis, and you can send it out where, like I said, AME owns the trademark for the Proud Boys. And the crazy part about it, y'all, have y'all ever seen the leader of the Proud Boys? And one of he is the guy, the gentleman that was just talking, he the same color as him, y'all. I kid you not.
What?
That's what I thought he was. Yeah.
I kid you not. That Negro, that sand nigga. I promise you. And I'm sitting up here because when I saw him, my mouth flew open. It was like Adolf Hitler all over again, because Adolf Hitler was half Jew. So I'm saying, and you got, as long as you have a common hate, it does not even matter at this point. I'm just like, what? Can we put pictures into the chat? Are we able to do that?
Yes, you can share your screen.
Okay. Hold on. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna send the link. I'm gonna send the link so you guys can see what he looks like. Give me 1
while
second.
she's doing that, do you all feel like why is it that a lot of the Africans hate us?
Because that's what they've been taught.
They've been taught a lot of self-hatred on that about
That's
us.
what they've been taught. They've been taught that they've been conditioned to not like us, because that's the stereotype that the picture that they have been painted of us. So hey, if getting them a ride over here to go to college for 4 years, and you better not talk to these hoodlums, because this what they do, this how they live, this why they we known as just the worst of the worst. But if you go, and instead of, everybody have the worst of the worst in their culture, you know what I'm saying? They don't publicize Jeffrey Dahmer, Ted Bundy, or any of these mass people who have did all sorts of kind of things. So, but everything when it pertains to us and our culture, it's been painted badly. So that's what they see. They see the negativity on the TV. They see the negativity in the music. They see the negativity in the religious culture. They just see negativity. So they see at mothers doing things wrong to their children. They see the division between husband and wife. They that's all they see, because this is what is being fed to them. And sad to say that you have some of us that look like us, and they doing the most. They giving them what they making what they're saying factual by their greed for money or fame or likes or clicks or whatever it is. So it's just,
most of my life I've had mostly friends from Africa, and I've talked to them, and I remember speaking to one of my friends from Kenya one time, and I asked him, I said, why do you guys make fun of us or look down on us? And he was like, well, why do you guys make fun and look down on us? He said, I'm going to tell you why. He said, because like she said, when we see media, This is what the media shows us of you. Just like when you see media of us, you see poverty, you see civil war, you see a lot of stuff. They never show you the positive things about us. They only show you the negative. So he said, and that's just because they fear us all joining together, because it's more of us than it is of them if we would join together. So
Right.
how do they keep us separate? You know what I mean? The media will train your mind to believe anything about anybody. You know what I mean? If you don't go do your own research and go out and see for yourself, because even now, what does everybody turn to? When you want to know something, nobody goes out and opens books anymore and research. They go crack Google. What did Google say? You know what I mean? And whatever that image is on Google, that's what you're going to believe. You know, I see people quoting and posting things on Facebook all the times that are not true, but people believe in and quoting. I'm like, this a little research will show you guys that this is not true, but people want to believe it. So, I remember asking one of my friends from Africa, hey, y'all got giraffes and lions, strolling through your yard and stuff, like, because that's what I see on the media. And he was like, really? You smoke crack? I mean, what? And I'm like, well, no, but you know what I mean? That's just how asinine it was for me to ask him that. But what was my only research was what I seen through movies or news or
Or
media.
what they gave you.
Yeah, so, but a lot of African people I know love us. They try to adapt our swag, as they say. They dress like us. They really do. A lot of them do like us. You know what I mean? If you ever I watch a lot of Nollywood movies, and I always get tickled because I listen to them try to speak like so-called African Americans. You know what I mean? It sounds funny sometimes, but they're trying. You know what I mean? So, this goes to this, to the title of this thing. Why is it when it comes to FBAs, how can we be so rejected and so hated yet so imitated? Everybody trying to be like us but can't stand us. Where does
I
that
don't
come
get it.
from?
I don't get it.
Where does that come from? Anybody got an opinion on that?
Oh, that's
I just
because they
feel
know
like
we come from greatness. So when you know something come from greatness, what you're gonna do, you're gonna mimic it. But we just don't see the greatness in us because we've been beat down for so long. And so once we start seeing the greatness in ourselves, then we'll see what other people see in us.
Exactly. I think it's jealousy.
Did you see what's his name? Paul Mooney had a stand up, I think it's called A Piece of My Mind. And he says, they tell us it's ugly on us, but pretty on them. They'll see a sister with big full lips, and he said, they'll look at her and say, "You big black, you bangy B word." But when a Caucasian woman or another woman gets the injections and all that, he's like, "Oh, they said it's beautiful, it's full, it's ethnic." You know what I mean? On
Mm-hmm.
us, it's ugly. On them, it's pretty. You know what I mean? So there may be some envy and jealousy there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's real talk. I mean, nobody wants to talk about it, but the truth is what it is.
Because I
Well,
know
you're right. I
even
just think that, again, our oppressor has always done things. And like I said, on the continent of Africa, we have to understand and remember, brothers and sisters, colonialism was just as crazy as was, us going through white supremacy here in America. And so with colonialism, they were given about white was great. Just like, a lot of us here, we were raised that way, growing up to see that. I mean, we have to fight that battle. Again, it's a battle over truth off of falsehood. I just, a lot of us kind of grew up, like myself, when I grew up in the church in the South, we were given these images that were just not truthful. I mean, I wouldn't have an issue if it was not, if Christ was a person, if he was white, if that was the truth. The fact is, it's not the truth. And we have been given falsehood the last 6,000 years, and we've been given falsehood on this continent for the last 400 some years since we've been here. So we've been fighting this. And so if we see what we fight against it's us being black, because they don't want us to know the truth and the world to know the truth about our contributions to the whole wide world, let alone America. Because in this world, they want to think that this world was non-existent without them being here. And we know the true history of that either. We're going into tonight, but we know the true history of that. So yeah, there's always the divide and conquer. Saying right now, we have made no contributions to this world. Now we know that's outright just a lie. Everything that's just outright lie. But this is what this world is built on: falsehood and lies. So that's why we said we have to do something for ourselves, because we want to still fight. You know, like you said, if you're in a relationship with a man or with a female, you know your spouses keep lying to you, your boyfriend, girlfriend keep lying to you. Eventually, you're gonna just leave and go somewhere else. That's the nature of how we're just the nature of how we're just made. A person's only going to take so much lie and abuse. They're going to go on. So I'm sure you sisters have probably been in a situation like that. You can stay with a man who's going to just lie to you all day long and not take care of you. Same thing with brothers. We in a relationship with a female, we're going to keep being lied to. Your nature is just not like that, to keep dealing with that type of abuse. So it's saying like this right here. You know, if they want to continue to degrade us. Like we said, we make our own. Now we've done that. Hey, to say the black woman is the most beautiful woman in the planet, we've been saying that for years, but now we starting to see that, and and a lot of people now are getting on board. Reason why I think that a lot of people look why we what happened to us here in America. That's the reason why we are able to do what we do around the whole world, because what happened to us here, we feel that this is a God's situation happening here, divine. That's why we're being used now the world's looking for us. That's why we believe that we're the first ones going to be able to take humanity, to redeem humanity, because what happened to us, not because we're just black, because our suffering here. And that's why everybody looks for us to stand up first. Because everybody knows if they study here, what happened here in America was a unique situation.
Exactly.
Can I read you guys something? And I want to ask you a question. This is from the Miseducation of the Negro. And this is a quote. It says, "Aren't we all Americans? Then whatever is American is as much the heritage of the Negro as of any other group in this country." So that being said, do you even consider yourself American? And if so, do you think this country owes the FBA?
I'll answer everybody else answer.
You said you think I'm American? Is it what you said?
Do you feel that you
Do
are
you
American?
feel that you're an American? Like, we understand some of us say we're Israelites, we're of the tribe of Shabazz, the tribe of Judah, but do you also see yourself as an American? And if so, do you not feel that everything in America is just as much your heritage as the so-called blue bloods and the pilgrims and those who landed on Plymouth Rock?
For me, I don't feel that way. I feel that in a sense, I don't feel that way. That name American just don't sit well with me. I feel that we are due justice in this country we call America, because what happened. For me, I don't feel like that term America. I just think that it limits myself to just a landmass. I don't want to do that. I'm concerned about the whole human family, and I just think that you can't find our birth record for me. It's bigger than America. But now I think since our ancestors were brought here and what happened here, I feel that the American government is justified to give us just due to be here. I mean, not to be here, but give us just due by what we've been through here. I look at us more as being captives in America for myself, and that's why I don't like the term American for me. We've been called un-American. I mean, stuff like that. We have the rights here, but I think we have the rights here because of what happened here by our ancestors, not because no white man signed a Emancipation Proclamation. None of that. I don't give credit to none of them at all for that. I give mostly to our ancestors who died in blood, sweat here. So that, I say, yeah, what we deserve here is mine. But I've seen that we continue to have to fight and argue, go to courts, write legislations, have a civil rights bill for what we should automatically, by nature, be given. So that's why I have the whole issue with the whole America. I think the term America for us is something that the white Europeans don't want us to have. So just take it from me. That's just me, but that's just my style. That's just me personally. That's just not even my organization. That's just what I feel personally. I just think we have done too much here in this country to even want to have that term for me.
And that was good.
Okay. Does anyone else here identify themselves as American?
I would say no as well because, say, if you're filling out any type of form, like, or any type of wherever place it may be, on the nationality tab where it says, "What are you?" I always choose other. I never choose Black or African American or anything in that case because it changes every 40 years anyway, because they don't even know who we are in that case, which is why it changes all the time.
Mhm.
I just feel like America is just a placeholder for us since, in the Bible it states that, it's just a temporary land. So I necessarily don't like to resonate with the term American.
That's what's up. She 26 years old, y'all.
I
Beautiful
have
for the youth. Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I have a slightly different opinion. Um, while I do agree with everyone, believe me when I say I agree with everyone here, I just felt like a lot of our people came before the slave ships, and a lot of people came when the slave ships came. I feel like even though I do not like how they treat us here, our people have built this country off our backs. I feel like if anyone is American, it's going to be us. We literally, blood, sweat, tears, built it. It wouldn't have been in America if it wasn't for us. And that's why I feel like our ancestors died. They were tortured, in this land. And I feel like we have every right to claim it um, as our own because who else? Who else? Was it going to be them? No. We were here before, during, and after. Um, and that's the reason why I feel the way that I feel. Do I have some type of anger and animosity towards it? Yes.
Mhm.
But that is the only reason why I feel like that because it it wouldn't be if it wasn't for us. Hell, we're more American than they are because of what we did for this country. And to deny us something, and because I mean, if you think about it, they say go back to where you come from. They're not from here either. They don't know where they come from. In Europe, half of them don't know. They've been Americanized. A lot of them can't trace their history back either. You know what I mean? And I just feel like we should have just as much rights, if not, as they do. Unfortunately for us, we don't. They've the few percent, and I'm looking at, how they even came into to power like that. When you're looking at, they have decimated and conquered the world. They carved Africa up.
Indeed.
Right.
It's just like they are the minority in the world. And
Mhm.
for them to have had that much power, that much, how much manipulation, narcissism, do you know how much type of evil for a percentage
Mm.
to decimate and cancer a whole world? I don't know. I'm sorry, y'all. I get kind of
I see what you're saying, sis.
Okay, sister, it's okay.
Because some of my recent ancestors are actually like what you call Black Indians.
Mhm.
Both my great grandmothers are Cherokee. My father and my mother's side, they're full blown Cherokees. So they never came off any ships or anything like that. Um, and then I have some ancestors that may have came off the boat as well. So I see what you're saying. But I don't consider myself a part of this matrix, this system that they created, the corporation part of it. So we're of the land, but I'm not of the system. So that's
Mhm.
what I could say on my end.
The
I
sister
agree
was
with that. I
just
agree with
saying,
that. I like that. Like just both said that the land definitely ours. The planet belongs to us because we believe too. So definitely the land. But like Sister Ruff said, the system. which what we said, I think to be here, we don't need to go nowhere, but to be here, this is just me personally. I just think that we're going to have to develop our own system in another separate state of territory, because with this system that was designed by them, we was not in fact, they didn't have us in mind. But I do think the land itself, and I will say this too, they're not going to survive without giving us justice. America is not going to survive until they address this issue about what happened to us on this continent. Then I don't care. You can put both Trump and Biden in there. What God got planned for America, God has planned. Until we get justice, they ain't got no solution. I don't care who you put in there. You can put all of them in there for me, and they're not going to have no justice. I look at this same question for me. I look at the same situations. I look at Moses and Pharaoh.
That's what we're going through right now.
Yeah.
The very
Just for me.
beginning of it,
That's just me.
is.
That's just me.
I totally agree. As for do I feel like I'm an American? The only time I ever felt like or labeled as an American is when I left the United States. My father and my father's ancestry, they were brought over to Brazil, and the rest of us ended up down south. So when people ask me, are you African American or Black American? I said, which Americas are you talking about? Because there's three. When I actually experienced being treated like an American is when I left to the continent. And I had a 50-50 experience. I had an experience where, sister, you're home. We're so happy you home. Okay. And then I get the other one. Akato.
What does that mean, sister?
It's a derogatory word.
It's a derogatory term for Black people who are born outside. And I had to educate somebody. I said, I didn't ask for this. I said, Akata is a mentality that I don't have. So when you said, yes, I said, I'm of the land, but I'm not of that mentality. I don't think oppressively. Because if my people are indigenous to all the land of the earth, then I'm always free. I said, when you start thinking you're free, then you are free. But if you continue on separating and taking the ideology of your oppressor, then you're always going to be a slave. So,
they say when you control a man's mind, you don't have to worry about his actions. And I think that's the problem with a lot of people here. It's the mind control. Though they took the iron chains off, they didn't remove the mental chains, right? I don't know if I was telling Sister Raphael about this, but I used to drive trucks. And there was a particular time when I was driving to Louisiana to a chicken plant, and the trucks would come in with the live chickens, and they were being cages. Well, this one particular truck came in with the cages only. There was one chicken that was outside of the cage, but he was sitting on top next to all the other cages. And I'm in the truck like, oh man, chicken, he free, he could just fly off. And it was like woods behind the where the truck was. I'm like, he could just walk off, fly off, or whatever into these woods. But because he was so used to being inside the cage with the rest of the chickens, he was literally sitting hunched down next to the cage as if he was still inside the cage. He didn't even realize he was free. So he ready to he's finna go to slaughter, but he free because he didn't know. And I think that's what's wrong with a lot of us, that we don't have these iron chains anymore, but a lot of our minds is still in captivity. Some of us won't even make moves that we don't feel that the others will approve of. It's not about being approved by your own. You only want to make moves that the others will approve of. You know what I mean?
That's why I was saying that a lot of our people move like sheeps and would think like sheeps with leader followers, so to speak.
That's something, I think that's an age-old question, is how do we get the chains off of people's minds, I mean, you have so many different groups of people, whether it's the church or Israelites or the Nation of Islam. Back in the day, you had your Black Panthers and all these different movements trying to get the shackles off our people's minds, but it's almost like they resent some of us for trying to get the shackles off of them. They want to keep them on. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
if it's fear. Have they become comforted, in the on the plantation so much that they fear what will happen if they go off the plantation? You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what can we do? I mean, I know we can't get them all, but what can we do to try to get these shackles off more people's minds?
Mm. I say education. Um, I know a lot of people may not like me for what I'm about to say, but you all know me. Those who know me, they know I'm very blunt, and I tell it like it is. I speak my mind. I hate to say this, however, I have not been proven wrong yet. But a lot of our people, and overall, I believe our people are brilliant people. We are brilliant. However, we don't use our full potential, and a lot of us are mentally lazy. I mean, I'm just gonna put it out there because they say the truth shall set you free. And if I'm lying, correct me now. But a lot of our people are mentally lazy. We don't like to read. We don't want to study. We want to be comfortable. We want everything handed to us on a silver platter. We don't want to work for what we need, for what we want. But we want to hand it to us easy. But we don't want to work for it. And so we went so long being banned from reading. During slavery, we wasn't allowed to read or learn how to read. We got comfortable. A lot of us got comfortable like that. And then you have some of us, we try to strive for the stars, but there's too many of us just want to lean back and be comfortable on the couch.
I think that's a lot of that is American culture, that couch potato culture, that quick and easy fast food,
Mm-hmm.
everything, convenient culture. So, I even noticed that, like, I was listening to someone was saying, like, far as like speaking different languages here, right? Now,
Yeah.
technically, the language here is supposed to be English, right? Because we're American or whatever. But there, even here in America, there are certain jobs you're gonna find difficult if you don't speak Spanish. Even as an
Mm-hmm.
American, even though we're in America and you're an American born and bred and you went through school all 12 years, maybe even college, but because you're not bilingual, you may not get that. But it's like, why are you making it so easy for others to communicate in their native language, but you didn't do that for us? You know what I mean? You don't do that for a lot of people. You know what I mean?
I feel
So,
you.
Yeah. And we also understand something else. We have come into a new generation where intelligence is always made a mockery of.
mm,
I was always associated when I was a child, because the way my parents had me talking like this, and because my father spoke four different languages outside of English, that I was not black enough. I was
Mm,
always told I was an Oreo.
mm.
I was told by one of my college professors, oh, and my government name is Courtney. Oh, Courtney, you're an intelligent, strong, articulate black woman, and he's a black man. I said, oh, thank you. He said, but no black man's going to want to deal with you. You might as well get yourself a white man.
oh, wow. Mm,
And I'm like, what do you mean? He said, you're just too, you don't fit in.
mm,
And that's something that I heard from, and a lot of black people, foundational blacks who came from parents where, who are educated in some form or fashion. We get told that we're Oreos, that we're trying to get into the white man's world. Don't
mm,
forget your own. But then we try to, those of us who do make successful moves, who do strive over adversity, even if you go to a black college and you
mm,
try to come back and bring your people back, you have these ignorant people that are holding you down.
mm, mm,
When you try to make things in the community, it's hard, and people don't realize in our community that when a successful black person makes it in their world and tries to get back, they're going to twist their arm and twist their funds and twist everything possible so they don't get back. And then when they finally get through that adversity of playing their game, then you guys say, "Oh, I don't like that he made like that. I'm gonna take it from you."
wow.
I'm going to take that from you. Or I'm going to kill you. We can win a lottery. And there's brothers who have won the lottery and gave back and turn around and get killed by their own friend. But they're giving you the money. They're putting it back.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we're afraid of success. And I think that really comes from back when we had situations like Rosewood in Oklahoma and other places where we had Black Wall Street, where we had things where we didn't need them.
Mm.
And what did they do? We either had some turncoats up in there, like our beloved sister Harriet Tubman had to deal with some people when she tried to free our brothers and sisters, that she had to tell people, I'm gonna shoot you if you tell us where we're going, or they
Mm.
bomb it. So we got to the point where we're afraid of success unless it's under their terms.
Mm-hmm.
But who are they to tell us what is successful? Who are they to tell us what is intelligent, what is civilized?
Ain't that something?
We allowed them. We get mad and say the white man is white, but there's things that we have allowed. We've allowed the mediocrity. We have allowed the sexy reds and the Carly B's. We have allowed just playing basketball players and football players. We have allowed that.
Yes.
BET is a joke.
I want to ask you all this. This is going to be a controversial question. And I hope I don't get backlash from this. But do you all feel like that the baby boomers had dropped the ball on us, on our people?
Absolutely.
I
Yes.
think it's
Absolutely.
I think
I'm gonna be
education.
honest with you. The baby boomers, I thank them for all the things they went through, like my mother and father. But I had a discussion with my own daddy. I said that, the problem was you made it too easy for us. We started to become untitled. You didn't keep on knowing that we had to keep on going with the movement, keep on adding pressure, keep on going. They became to the point, the new generation became so assimilated and trying to be huggy, huggy, huggy with everybody. And no offense to my different people from different colors, I can work with anybody. But it put it to the point where we were so busy trying to embrace everything else, we forgot about ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Forgot about everything. And then they started taking the scraps. Like
Mm-hmm.
Black History Month as a scrap. To me, that's a joke. And I don't care what black people want to say about me right now. I'm going to say 100. You cannot tell my history in 28 days. And it only starts from slavery to now. No, we had a history 1,000 years beyond that. Let's talk about that. Beyond
Mm-hmm.
tenant. We are the people of the book. When you open
That's
up your
right.
Bible on Sunday morning, you're reading about us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you cannot grasp the greatness of us. And it's not to be arrogant, but we are a peculiar people.
Mm-hmm.
And I told my father's generation, I said, I thank you for the whippings and the lashings that y'all went through, but you didn't press it as you should have.
Right, 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 right,
You could have kept tell
right,
us, keep going. Stop
right.
trying to fit in with these people.
Mm-hmm.
So believe it or not, the more you try to fit in with this particular culture of people, the more they can remind you that you're black.
Mm-hmm.
I work at a job every day and I get on the phone and, hello, how can I help you? Da 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 da.
Mm-hmm.
Only
Mm-hmm.
way I can make money if I talk like this on the phone.
You
It's
know,
not it's non-threatening.
That
I feel like this younger generation after us, they're detoxing. And
Mm-hmm.
they are not taking no mess. They're not
They're
putting on no
angry.
foolishness. They're not laying down. They standing on business.
They're angry.
They're angry. They're standing on business. And I'm so glad that they are detoxing. I know Arella. Arella is a Gen Z. What is your opinion about this, Arella?
Is it more so? Are we more so going back to like the baby boomers times?
Yeah, about the generational, one generation dropping the ball and another generation standing on business when it comes down to the social climate and the environment of our people.
I would say things back then were more easy, but complicated, more complicated. Well, or it could be vice versa, because nowadays it seems like nowadays things are really harder than it was back then. Like maybe have been able to do something simpler back then than now. So it's like things are getting more harder for us. But it's just like when it comes to society, maybe things have lightened up a bit. Because, as far as racism back then was way worse than now.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like during that era, it was more so influence of like entertainment to blindside of what's really going on. Like, the 70s, the disco era, um, even like the music was really pushed on people to, to try to make them feel better.
Mm-hmm.
But I just feel like that was just suppressing how they were really feeling back then. Most of them were like, and then I feel like they spent so much time like outside than actually inside the home. Like even if you say like the Black Panther movement, or they're being disco, them going to parties all of the nights. And, the children are at home. They're really raising themselves mostly. I
Mm-hmm.
just feel like there was just a lot going on back then. Um, Even like I'm a teacher now. I teach at a early development early development child like school, and most of the parents are like in their 40s and 50s having children, and a lot of people will say, okay, the new generation is like becoming like bad, but it's the older generation raising the newer generation, and they're mostly in their late 40s and 50s, and it's like they're kind of treating their children now like glass. But if it's harder now, they should be not just like coddling them so much. They should be trying to prepare them for what's going on, because it's getting even harder nowadays. But I just feel like, yeah, with the baby boomers, they kind of messed up Generation X, Z, which comes down to like our generation. So people say why we're like, like this, why we don't know these things, because we have to teach ourselves mostly, because our parents, our grandparents didn't teach our parents, and it's not possible for us to know if that information has been passed down
Exactly.
because
Boom.
of the
Absolutely.
time era, because they were so busy doing whatever that they didn't teach our parents. So it's like now we're like helping our parents. Um, and that's why there's so much therapy that goes on nowadays, because we're trying to help our parents and the children that they have to be able to understand what is going on because of what happened, with basically our grandparents. We're healing from that era.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
Yeah, me being a millennial, my generation was well, I'm considered a millennial. My generation was we were probably the last of the streetlight kids. We were the last. But our generation was we became the parents
Mm-hmm.
because mommy and daddy had to work. We were the ones that you had the key around your neck, lock the door, don't let nobody in. We were just now getting to cell phones and internet, so we were still caught in the middle
Mm-hmm.
from the change and the old. But I was grateful to being a millennial my family because my father lived through the civil rights movement. My grandmother was a civil rights activist
Mm-hmm.
and a single mother of 10 kids,
Mm-hmm.
going down south to go fight for the liberation of her people and her
Mm-hmm.
grandchildren and everybody for it. So I thank her for that. But she still didn't get a chance to really be a mother as she really wanted to because she had so many children. And
Mm-hmm.
my dad's generation, he instilled a lot of things about, culture and being who we are and our ancestry and fundamentals and honor. But the baby was like the young lady said, the baby was never dealt with their trauma because they lived through the dogs, they lived through the lynching, they lived through the hoses. We just read about it, but they actually were there.
Mm. So that's
So they
PTSD behind it.
they had so much PTSD, they didn't have time to do anything else, and they couldn't even deal with it. So they had to keep on going because now they're in a new era where they're leaving from segregation in some places.
Mm-hmm.
They're going into a job market. Factories are being closed now, so now you got to go back to college and all this other stuff. And then here comes the crack epidemic.
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing that millennials, we had to live through that.
Mm-hmm.
For our generation, we dealt with the trauma of our parents, our grandparents, and then we had to see the outcome of the whole demise of the system of unity of being black.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I am grateful that I still think about the 90s, I was a child, about the cookouts.
I miss those days.
The block. I remember a little girl being a block party, or we had sock hops and things like that. My kids will never know about that because they put them in front of a computer. I forced them to put the computer down, the TV off, and I said, "Learn, read a book."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
And this whole, even with the boomer generation, and the next children now, they really wasn't. How can I say this? And I don't want to criticize my dad's generation, but they still had an issue with identity.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Identity and it's still going on now. We still have an issue with our identity
Mm-hmm.
because it's other people telling us who we are instead of listening to our stories and who we are as individuals.
Yeah. Speaking of identity, my birth name was Christina. And the name Christina was very popular in the 70s because I'm a
Hmm.
70s baby. My family actually told me that I was given that name because they want to make sure that I was able to get a job when I grow up.
Same here. Same here.
And they
My mother.
overlooking my identity, and they didn't think about what that would do to me psychologically, how that would make me feel about myself. And I feel like that encourages self-hatred,
Mhm.
that mentality. You have to assimilate and overlook who you are and what you are, you know. So what
And
is
then
you?
and then those names. Here's something I found out recently that I thought was very unique about the root of why we have these so-called exotic names or the spellings. And I have of course, I'm married to an African, and I am the first Black American to be married into this family. So I get Black questions from other Black people. Hey, Courtney, how come your name is not Shashasha or Shush? I said, because my mother wanted me to have a job. That's why she named me Courtney, which I hate my name. That's why I love my name, Yadoa. I feel like Yadoa. I don't feel like a Courtney. I do not feel like a strawberry blonde girl with green eyes who's on the top of the cheerleading pyramid.
I actually, I work the type of work I do. I'm an independent contractor. With one of my jobs, I'm an independent contractor, and I get sent out of towns to work a lot. And I actually end up in some of these little sundown towns, which I
Mm-hmm.
have to go. I have no choice. And they try to pronounce my name. You all should see that. I mean, it is funny. I've actually seen some of these other people, the Anglo-Saxons, get angry because they don't like the way my name is pronounced. And then I get angry because they not pronouncing it correctly.
I
But
think with being
Um,
my name being Courtney, and they tried to associate because of the color of my skin. They tried to give me a spelling to my name.
mm,
I said my name is Courtney, Courtney, not Khou. None of that. It's just traditional. But I had to when I got that to my nephews and all of them, I said the reason why those unusual spellings came about was it actually went back to slavery.
mm.
I said when we didn't know if our children would be sold away from us, sometimes the mothers and fathers would give the person a unique spelling. That way, when the time comes, if freedom ever happened, they can find their baby.
Oh wow. Okay.
And look it up in the newspaper. When
You
freedom
just
came,
taught us something.
your name was spelled fire, but it's with, PH.
Mm-mm.
Here to reconnect you back to your family if you can ever find them. That's why the whole thing of family reunion was. It was designed to bring back those who were sold through slavery. They can find the leftover families that were stripped away. Because everybody, when you got sold to a different slave master, you took on their last name.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Or they changed your name because they didn't want anybody to find you.
Mm.
So my name, Courtney, And when I studied the history of my name, I asked my mom, I said, why did you name me that? She said, well, it sounds very sophisticated. I said, do you know what a Courtney is? A Courtney is a person that serves a king.
Mm.
So that
And
means I'll never be an entrepreneur. I always got to work for somebody. She said, well, at least you always have a job.
wow,
But the names are significance about even and when we come to the knowledge of being Israelites, that when you took your name, Sister Yasha Allah, you knew what came with it. The power behind that name.
that part,
The
that part.
strength.
Mm-hmm.
You
And I
know.
have to be honest, ever since the first week they changed my name, my life have never been the same since. It's like the energy behind these names, the ancient names, it overtakes your whole life. It influences your whole walk. I mean, I can't explain it, but my life haven't been the same since. People don't even look at me the same. People don't treat me the same like they did back when my name was Christina. I get treated differently.
Mm-hmm.
I'm serious.
It's a
So
respect
that
that you
that Isaiah 82 and 2, that is real. Read that when you all get a chance.
mm-hmm.
Psalms 82 and 2. I'm sorry, Isaiah 82 and 2. Salakia.
Yes, ma'am.
Anybody else?
I want to kind of go back to the baby boomers dropping the ball. I don't agree because it doesn't. You know, some things are case by case. You know, and growing up, my parents definitely taught us a certain things, you know what I mean? Not saying that they were super pro black or anything, but especially my mom coming from the South and my grandmother, they definitely taught us a sense of things about who we were. My grandmother was definitely big on warning us about certain things, you know, because of the time she came from and the things she had to deal with. I was just telling, you know, somebody how my grandmother didn't even want certain people of a certain color. I don't want to, you know, come into her house. She got mad at me for opening the doors for them one day. A social worker came to the house and chewed my head off. Like, what you let that, you know, pale woman in here for, you know? So, you know, they would always tell us these stories, you know, and my mom would tell us. And so even my dad, even though he wasn't like all militant, but he would definitely always, talking about being a certain type of black woman, one who carries herself a certain way, who operates in a certain spirit, so forth and so on. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
not all baby boomers or older people drop the ball because when I came up, honestly, it was all about education, especially going to a HBCU. Everywhere I
Mhm.
looked, it was the United Negro College Fund. It was going here. You see all the little shirts, you know, the little Afrocentric shirts promoting different HBCUs and colleges. So I came up in a time where college education, especially HBCUs, were heavily pushed. We seen it on
Mhm.
the TV. Different black shows promoted that all the time. We seen it in commercials. Everywhere you went, it was about educating yourself and especially about your culture as a black person. I don't know when it changed. Maybe somewhere in the mid 90s. Some people say when gangster rap came out, we kind of started getting away from that pro-black, that Afrocentric type of culture that we were in, you know.
Mhm.
But I can definitely say in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s, that was a big thing. You know what I mean? Everybody wanted
Mhm.
to go to an HBCU. Everybody wanted to have that different world experience, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So when that changed, I think culture changed a lot of it. I do think the more people begin to mix in with other cultures and ethnicities and races, I think that had a big part to play with it. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Mhm.
If you start mixing and procreating with other races, you're not likely to want to fight against them no more. You know what I mean? You're not going to want to go to battle or be against the very person you lay down at night with in your bed. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
I think that has something to do with it as well. You know what I mean? That's why I asked the question earlier about did desegregation hurt us? Because the more we mix in, as you say, the more we assimilate into other cultures, um, we lose ourselves. We lose
Right.
a sense of who we are. We
Mhm.
become like there's a movie called Rabbit Proof Fence where the Australian government set out to white out the Aborigine people. and they even had the plan of how many generations it would take to wipe them out, to make them Caucasian, basically, right? And I think in some ways it was like that here, because how did it go from it was a could get you lynched to be with the swirl, you know what I mean? To now you look on commercials and advertisements everywhere you see, what do you see? The mixed couples. It's rare to see a black family, happy family on an ad anywhere on TV, but you will definitely see mixed couples everywhere.
Isn't that the truth? Yeah, that's a new agenda they're pushing now.
Yeah.
They're
You
trying
know?
to program us.
And in less than 50 years, in less than 50 years, it went from being you can get lynched to now that's the thing that's promoted the most. You know what I mean?
And you know what I see the most of is black women with Anglo-Saxon men. I'm seeing more of them.
I definitely see a lot. Like I see a lot of I do see that being pushed more, because it used to be the other way around, you know. But I'm definitely seeing it now from the sisters' point of view, them definitely pushing that. But it's like, again, you know what I mean? When you have not been educated, and education is not just what you go to school and learn, you know what I mean? It is you know, part of what you learn at home, you know what I mean? So I think that coupled with your home, what you're being taught at home, what you're being taught in your house of worship, and what you're, you know what I mean? Like even in the churches, there used to be a time when they did talk about these things. They don't talk about that no more. You know what I mean? Even during Black History Month, I used to be over the youth department. You know, we would do the little generic, you know, these are the Black inventors, and you know, Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and Harriet Tubman and Rosa Parks. You know what I mean? The everything everybody knows, but he never went in depth. They never once pulled out a Bible and said, "Oh, by the way, we're also in the Bible." You know what I mean? Yeah. So, but back in the day, churches taught a little more in depth. You know what I mean? About different things, especially during civil rights movement. You know what I mean? So again, that education goes in a lot of areas, not just at home, not just in your school, everywhere it needs to be like it used to be. I could turn on the TV as a kid and see all kind of, like I said, you know, ads and things talking about how we needed to go to school, go to college, reading was fundamental, all of these things. You don't even see that kind of stuff anymore being promoted. You know what I mean? Anywhere. So
it's definitely, I do definitely agree with the integration that it really took a toll on us.
It did.
I mean, even when the fact of integration, and on top of that, the welfare system, there was a time when we had our own communities where you knew your neighbors. I'm thankful in my apartment complex that me and my neighbors can get together and we're all moms and say, "Hey, what do you need, baby? You okay? When we get your baby off the bus, I'm running late. Can you get my baby off the bus? Can my baby sit at your house?" We had to start that community all over again.
Yes.
Because no one else was going to do it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not enough elders to go around anymore.
And you know, 10 years ago, I didn't experience that. You know, neighbors looking out for looking out for me like that. But to some extent, yes, but then not like it used to be like 30 years ago.
It's a fear. We're afraid of one another.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, in our community, we have a lot of individuals that are just evil.
And we have a mentality going, in my opinion, my personal opinion, we have a mentality going on now where people say, well, it's none of your business. It's my business. Stay in your lane, mind your business. And we need to we need to go back from that as well, in my opinion.
I say this about even with the the other community that our oppressive community is that I will give them one credit about they will sacrifice one for the whole. We have become I got mine, you go get yours. And it's not benefiting us. I mean, I see my brothers in the continent, brothers in the Caribbean, brothers in Latin America that look just like me. Oh, I know black, I know black, I know black. I said, baby, your hair just as thick as mine. I know black, I Colombian. Even with me, they said, oh, you Brazilian? Yeah. But I said chocolate.
Because of the negativity is associated with black.
But everybody wants the good stuff about me and black. And another thing, I'm not to say this, I'm not having any against anybody from outside of another community, but Just because you ally to support my people doesn't give you jurisdiction to think you can tell my story.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you
Right.
lay with one of us and produce a baby with us does not mean you get a pass.
I agree.
But you
We
know who
got to
you gotta
stop. We
blame
got to
for
stop.
that?
We got to stop that cookout stuff. It's got to stop. If we
We're to
can't
blame
eat,
for that.
if we can, if we need to get away from that because if I can't sit down with my sisters, even though she got a bust down lace front in her head, and I got my hair in braids or my natural locks or my natural coils, and we can't sit down and eat and talk together. Why do I want this one over here sitting here eating my people just because she got a little rhythm and put a little seasoning sauce on her chicken? When does the standard of blackness become so mediocre that anybody else can do it? Oh, she got rhythm. Oh, he wear a backwards hat. Oh, listen to rap music. Oh, he got one black friend. Stop that.
Probably because a lot of us got too laxy go daisy with our culture and we
Stop
just
it.
got this
It's not about being
inclusive thing.
racist. It's not. It's stop.
Yeah,
But
it
that's
does
what
have
it
to stop.
is. We're so afraid of not being like them, so we don't want to be labeled racist. We'll show you
Mhm.
different. We are the world. We love everybody, you
We've
know?
gotten too tolerant. We've got too
Who
tolerant. I
did the
remember,
Mashiach come? I said,
yeah,
who did the Mashiach come to get people straight for? Who did Mashiach come for?
and you know,
His
I was born and raised in Cleveland. A lot of people don't know. I was born in the projects in the worst part
Chicago.
of the city, in the Cleveland of all cities. Okay, but do I need to go further with that? But back to
No,
what I was
I'm from
saying.
Chicago.
I grew up in the
Southside.
projects, and nobody would come down that hill. You feel me? If you didn't look like us, and if one of the families didn't recognize you, you could not come down that hill without being questioned. They'd be like, "Why are you here? Who's your people?" That's the question. Who is your people?
Mm-hmm.
You coming down this hill? Who you know down here?
Mm-hmm.
And then even the police wouldn't come through there unless they was invited. They was scared.
Mm-hmm.
And so now in 2025, we gotten so tolerant and so laxy go daisy. Any and everybody and their mama, cousin, and sister can come in our communities. Everybody can come inside our house and do it, say whatever they want.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they don't have that respect for us, that fear for us no more like they used to.
I recently had to check one. I had to check one, and I said, "Wait a minute, honey. Now I understand you got black babies. I understand that. So your babies are part of me. So I'm not nothing against the babies, but you don't get to talk to me in your kind of way. We cool and all, but you don't talk to me like that way. Number
Mhm.
one, this don't come off. This is it for me. This don't come off. This is it for me. You can take off all that and go back into your people.
Mhm.
Every day of my life, I am a black woman. I am a Hebrew woman. I am a lioness. I represent the ancestors. Just
Mhm.
like you represent your ancestors.
Yeah.
You just felt like you wanted to tip and dip a little bit and jump into the chocolate pool and you liked it and you
Mhm.
couldn't get out.
Mhm.
We don't
Yep.
have that world. So you
Yep.
understand? I said, we have trauma within us. I said, so when you encounter my sisters who feel some type of way, the way you talking to them like you know us, how dare
Mhm.
you? We're all different.
Mhm.
I'm different. Us is over here, us fundamental, us blacks one here in this side, we're different from our African cousins. They got a whole different culture.
Mhm.
It clusters all. That's the beauty of being an Israelite.
Mhm.
We're so unique. We're so, our perspectives, our ideology, the way we worship the Most High, the way we cook, the way we each of the 12 tribes had a different
Mhm.
attribute.
Mhm.
So you
Yeah.
cannot do that.
FBA is a special bunch of people. If we could just remind ourselves how beautiful and how unique and how powerful we are. We're like the sleeping giants. We don't even realize how much power we have. We cook different. We look different. We dance different. We pray different. We worship different. Nobody does things, nobody moves like how we move. And until these other people can start putting some respect on our names, we need to set the boundaries back up. We need to
Mm-hmm.
put the boundaries back up.
We need to
For real, we
gatekeep a
got too
little more.
tolerant. Yeah, we
We gotta
got
stop.
too tolerant.
We gotta stop. I have to say it's pretty interesting that you bring that up. By the way, my book came in. Yes,
Mine,
bless
mine
you.
did too. Surprise, the special book, baby.
So,
Oh, great.
but
Thank
I'm
you.
sitting here listening to this. I'm just like, it's interesting you say this, and I'm trying to think as far as because baby boomers, my folks was really just scattered. We're trying to work through the trauma, trying to work work through the addictions and things of that matter. Um, from a very young age, I took charge as far as understanding. I'm here to break a generational curse because this is not what I was sent here for to have to experience this and pass it on. That's not what God's put me here for. But as far as them dropping the ball in a sense of standing up for our color, our culture, you know, just there's I can't necessarily put a percentage on it, but what Sister Eudora was just saying, it was just like, we're here as a special people, and in our identity it can seem misunderstood, flawed to when we look in the mirror and we have these not necessarily mental delays or whatever the case may be, but when we're isolated amongst these people and we're able to operate on our level, we're able to operate in a sense of our power, therefore it comes out with our identity.
Mhm.
We don't need the praise of other people, like being on the outside, by nature, we're social people. Humans are social. We're social beings. We need others in order to sow into us to make us feel proud about ourselves. The Most High, He made us special where it's just like we don't have that anymore. It was like it's stripped from us, you
Mhm.
know. And when you talk about as far as programming, you mean the internet is all the way around. All this media and things of that matter was being sold in your conscious versus your subconscious and how you live your lifestyle or whatever the case may be. Um, and it just kind of going back to as far as, being able to walk in our authority and our power. I mean, you could be in a grocery store and lay eyes on a child that's getting out of control as a black woman, and that child shut it down real quick. And everybody looking at you like, what you got? So um but yeah, yeah, I know I went all over the place with that one, but just there's just a few things that just wanted to drop in there.
That's
But
good.
yeah.
That's good, sis. Well said. Oh, you know what? Sister Adanya had her hand up. Sister Adanya, you wanted to say something? I don't know if I'm saying her name correctly.
I I
Adonaya.
think she put it in the chat. She said, I can read it right here. It says, my mom and my grandmother definitely did not drop the ball when it came to my heritage. I was raised to know who I am and respect my culture as well as other cultures.
Okay. All praises. That's beautiful because everybody can't say that. That's beautiful. You have ancestors that teach self-love and self-worth and self-value in our history. I purposely admitted my two daughters into historically black colleges and universities because I wanted them to learn their people and about themselves. And I wanted them to learn their history, and I wanted them to develop into self-aware young ladies valuing the people that they came out of. I wanted them to be proud of themselves. And one of the two of them also end up going to they also attended Ivy League colleges as well. But that first foundational experience, I put them in a black college university.
Why don't we promote HBCUs like we used to?
Um, it seems like nowadays these HBCUs have gotten more tolerant and more diverse now. So last time I went to a classic, I went to the Bethune Cookman Family Florida A&M Classic. I used to go with my daughters every year. And I mean, we used to get lit, have fun. And I'm seeing more and more other nations of people attending historically black colleges and universities now. So it kind of like took away, it took to me, it feels like it kind of took away of that feeling that we used to get back in the day when we were in those type of environments. Because
Reverse.
now
It's
it's
reverse.
more inclusive now.
It's reverse affirmative action.
Yeah, it's
That's
got
what
more
it is.
inclusive now.
They let everybody go to Spelman. They let anybody else come over there. I mean, I've seen drum lines where you had a couple white boys up in there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm
So
like,
it kind of like it just took away something from that. I can't put my finger on it. It just took away from it.
They were saying enrollment in some of these schools was down, and I think that might have been too why
Yeah.
they opened it up for the funding to keep it going.
And
yeah, because
I also feel like they're receiving more federal funding by including other people into these schools now. And
yes.
so that's why they're laxing on the culture within these
Mm-hmm.
schools now.
My sister Tangia says she attended a HBCU.
Oh,
Hey,
okay. And Ariella went to HBCU. Ariella, can you share with us what your experience, what it was like?
I would say it was overall, I would say a 50-50 experience. Um, it was good being around like as like starting to get it's like a smaller school, so it's like a private college, even though it's HBCU on Bethune Cookman University. It was a good experience to be around, people close to you. You feel more comfortable in the classes when you see, more people like you. Because, growing up, I feel like in middle school, high school, I feel like even though most schools are mainly just like a bunch of races, so unless you intentionally go to like a black like high school or anything like that, you're mostly in a school where it's just mixed and it's probably just like a low percentage of like black students. But I would
Mm-hmm.
say overall, it is good to be in schools where you have people like you, um, in that environment. I would say the cons is I just feel like they've mostly been corrupted. HBCUs have been like corrupted with, you know, um, it's hard to explain, but it's like they're more so into, things that are just like world. I would just say worldly things and and teaching us, kind of how to work in their system, not create our own systems. Um, Even like like sororities and all that stuff. All that stuff is just it's just a bunch of cults, and it's more heavily influenced in HBCUs because they're thinking it's oh, fun and games, that it'll help you out here to if you're in an organization, it'll help you connect when you go into the systems of like these white businesses because they're in
Yeah.
the same thing. But
Mm-hmm.
necessarily, it may work for a little bit, but they mostly don't care about that because at the end of the day, they're just looking at you. I mean, it may get you in some doors, but they're not good doors. Every
Mm-hmm.
door is not a good door to open.
Mm-hmm. You
Um,
know, as a parent, having children at HBCUs, I actually experience a lot of frustrations. That's the downside of it, in my opinion. Um, I used to go over their paperwork every year, the financial aid, and it seems like they lose everything. They don't keep up with the records good like they supposed to. And I had to resubmit paperwork, resubmit this, resubmit. I'm like, well, what are you guys are doing? So it's just a lot of them are a bit unorganized. That's the only thing I dislike about the HBCUs. But overall, it was a beautiful experience as a parent just to participate with the festivities and the environment and everything. So I enjoyed that part.
I
Yes,
think
it
if
was
we
more like yes, it was more like a cultural experience. That's was the fun part about it, going living in a rural area where majority of the people in school were white, and to go and have the experience to be around people that look like me, and um, being able to have that experience that you see on TV, like the with the Bill Cosby, and you have the sororities, the fraternities, and things like that, and the homecoming feeling, and just being. But far as like scholarship wise or whatever, you had more white students that got, or abroad students that came up from abroad that received scholarships. My dad being in the military, by the school being a private institution, I didn't qualify for the GI Bill. So I had to take out student loans and things like that. So I just felt like find that they put me more and my family more in a financial bind for me to get a higher education or higher learning. And I just felt like we got slighted on scholarships and things like that.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I agree. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually had to beg for scholarships for my daughters, and I actually wrote a letter to the Bursa office one time, and a personal letter, and they actually gave my daughter $4,000 scholarship, um, just because of the way she looked. It's like you have to ask and you have to beg just to get financial help to go to the HBCUs, and they make it so easy for the Ivy League schools for the students to get whatever monies they need. And that's
They,
another downside of this thing.
they were passing out like scholarship notice like maybe uh 2 weeks before the deadline. So how can you write an essay, a quality essay in that much time, or do the requirements of that scholarship in that amount of time, when you had guidance counselors that were holding on to scholarships but giving the white children the scholarships that they needed, or certain black people because their parents worked at the schools or whatever, they got the information before, people
Mm-hmm.
like me. I didn't, even though I was a migrant, I didn't learn that there were migrant scholarships until I was grown. And
Mm.
though, and I wasn't given offered any of those type of scholarships, but Mexicans, Hispanics was, excuse me, but Hispanics was offered those type of scholarships to go
Mm-hmm.
on to, with migrant scholarships and things like that. And
Mm-hmm.
so I just, with the whole education system, I, I'm a little disappointed because a lot of us who got slighted scholarships and things that could have helped us to pay for our schooling, we're still paying for, we're in debt. Like, for the rest of our life, because the interest rates go up.
Mm-hmm.
There's no forgiveness on schools that you apply for. So some of these forgiveness loans do not apply to the HBCUs that you went to. Some of them, when you went to apply to other schools, your credits wasn't accredited. So they took a lot of the HBC credits and turned them into
Mm-hmm.
electives, where if you did wanted to finish your education, you damn near had to start all the way back over.
Isn't that the truth? That's the truth. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, we definitely have to do better. We have to do better by each other, collectively.
So does it
It,
seem like that applies to seem like everything that FBA people start, you know, there is always an attack on it to shut it down, one way or another. You know what I mean? Just they
Mhm.
I mean it was a little more out there with Black Wall Street, but they do it, with everything that we do, especially if it's thriving.
Mhm.
Anything that we do that's thriving and that's positive, there's always some way to try to get it shut down, or make it difficult to keep it thriving for us.
That's true. I agree.
So it's almost like, even though we have made a lot of leaps and bounds and, where we come from where we were to where we are now, when you
Mhm.
consider some things we definitely should be further on. Some things I think we've done a great job at coming to this point, but
Mhm.
they're considering, we're supposed to be these full-fledged Americans. The fact that we still are fighting for certain things is just ridiculous. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Still fighting for certain recognition, you know. The fact that, like you said, yes, we understand why they gave us a Black History Month, but the fact that this is just not a part of the everyday curriculum in school, period. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't mean just Martin Luther King and Harriet Tubman and Rosa Parks. I mean the full aspect of our history
Mm-hmm.
should just be a part of American history, period.
Speaking of American history, is it true that that the federal government has dismantled that from being recognized nationally? African American History Month.
I heard something say something. I don't know if that was true or not.
Okay, I'm gonna have to do some research on that.
Wait, can you repeat that, please? What happened?
Did you all hear that the federal government no longer recognizes African American history for the month of February nationally? It's been
As a federal holiday, you mean?
Yes, no longer observed as a national holiday. Is that true?
I have to research
I
that
mean,
one
because
myself too.
if that is
I
true, then they would have to do away with a lot of these other, because you have
Exactly.
Asian, you
I
have
don't.
Hispanic, you have Pride, you got a lot of months popping off, so you can't just do away with that. You know what I mean? And what is the reason behind it?
I'm
Right.
black. I'm black. 375. So 1 month don't classify for all the history that they
Exactly.
try to compile in 1 month. You cannot compile a history in 1 month.
Yeah. I see this as a up and a downside. The reason why I say that is I feel like with all these attacks coming against us as a people from the national platform, it's just going to force us to further unite and to do and become more self-sufficient collectively, and we just have to do everything ourselves, which what I think we should be doing anyway. We don't need them to acknowledge our ancestors and to celebrate ourselves. Because to be honest with you, if I looked like them, I wouldn't want nothing to do with y'all's business anyway.
How can somebody of another culture tell you so much about your culture? Can't
They
nobody
can't.
tell you about your culture
They
no
can't.
more than you. We can't go inside their culture and tell them. I don't know nothing really about their culture unless what I see. We can't go inside their culture and tell them how anything about their culture. But everybody can tell us about our culture. Everybody in every culture can tell us about our culture
Mhm.
besides ourselves.
Hmm.
And this seems like some of them do know more about it than some of our people do. It's
They know
sad.
they know stereotypes.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. But they don't know the full fledged culture. They my dad was born in 41 and my mom was born in 52. My dad's mom was born in 1903 and my dad was born in 1889. So being growing up now, like my parents, I can say that I came from a line of strong individuals that instill morals and values, hard working, never buy down to nobody, but at the same time, you get an education, you don't act ignorant, and just don't be out here acting ignorant. And that education was a big factor of getting an education. That's how you gain people respect and how you keep the respect in your culture. When you have family that don't win in the military and they fought in the Vietnam War, and besides that, you still have your family here fighting the war, being sharecroppers or farmers, or let's put it the pretty name, migrants. So
Mhm.
when you come from a line of that, and people trying to tell you your history, you don't know my history unless you've been inside my history.
Exactly. I feel you. I feel you. Hmm.
It's true. But
Yeah.
So
doesn't
while
it seem like that's what they kind of do with us often when we make a little bit too much of a huff and a puff? They give us these little things like, well, give them a week, okay, give them a month, you know what I mean? Give them Martin Luther King Day, give them Juneteenth, you know what I mean? They give us
Hmm.
these little, you know what I mean, little tokens to shut us up. Oh, they talking about reparations, give them Juneteenth, they'll shut up. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Well,
how,
well,
how can
well.
so, How can somebody give somebody reparations when you don't even want to keep your own mom and daddy land when they pass it on to you? But you run around and saying that about reparations. You got people around here got bukus of land that they have inherited and still don't want to take care of that. So if somebody do give you 40 acres and a mule, are you going to take care of that? Are you going to do, or are you going to lose it right back to the people who you done got it from? We can't keep begging these people for all these things when we have to get out and go get it ourselves.
Totally agree. That
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense, and somebody needs to hear that.
I'm not gonna keep we can't sit up here and say, oh, the white man, they doing this, they doing that, the white man, the white. How you gonna keep begging the same people that have oppressed you for many, many years? How you gonna ask them to liberate you? They not gonna liberate you. They're not gonna do anything. We got to liberate ourselves. We got to
Right.
come together as a nation of people and do what we have to do amongst our own community and culture. Whatever
Right.
culture means to you, build your village up, build
Right.
your community up. You can't be out here trying to save the whole world. We got to start within our own communities. And
Right.
that's what first starting with our household and then working from our households, working on the outside. Because if we ain't got our households together and if we ain't got ourselves together, how we gonna be out here trying to get community and culture together?
I totally agree.
And we definitely got to stop looking for that fast dollar. Because, like you said, even if they gave you the 40 acres and a mule, I was watching a skit some years back from Dave Chappelle where he was saying that everybody got reparations and he was showing what the people were doing. They was out buying shoes, chicken,
Exactly.
cigarettes, like they was doing the
So
most with this
you get 40
reparation
acres.
money.
What you gonna do? You're gonna try to take a loan out on it and then go buy things that you don't need. You're not gonna take them 40 acres and try to build a community. You and or try to put houses on it to reinvest in that 40 acres to build wealth for your family.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm
Mm-hmm.
hearing is that the greater of our people are lacking the financial literacy and education in order to be able to know how to operate better in what they do.
Mm.
Yes,
Is that what
yes,
you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Yes, exactly. So if they do if we're fighting about reparations, how they know if we give it, why would we give them reparations and all they're gonna do is go out and buy clothes, shoes and jewelry and throw money in the air.
You can look at income tax time and see what a lot of folks would do with
Exactly.
reparations. Just see what
Ooh-wee.
they do around income tax time.
You all about to crawl down a rabbit hole now.
I mean, you everybody geared up, setting up because they know that you're gonna take that money and go invest it in something else that is a liability instead of taking your money or people getting together and putting their money together in one corporation and now we're going and buying up 40 acres.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're investing it and now we're looking to see a return on there. But how are we going to get anywhere? This is what they do. They bring their coins together. So
Mm-hmm.
when they bring their coins together, it now we can do more with more coins. If we sitting
Mm-hmm.
here trying to wait 10 years, 5 years, when I retire, I'm gonna invest my money. We need to take if you're getting a lump sum of money like that every year, everybody need to come together as a corporation and invest in 40 acres. Each year,
Totally.
invest in
Totally.
40 acres.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just dying to join up with a group of people that's willing to
Ah,
do
don't say
something
that.
like that.
Don't say dying, sis. Don't
Well, you
say.
know what I mean. I'm telling you, I would love to join up with some people to come together to buy land together. I really would.
It definitely has to be smaller groups of like-minded because,
Yeah.
as a whole, too many of our people are just lost. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's too much selfishness. It's too much.
Competition.
Yeah, the competition, the selfishness. You know what I mean? And like you said, a lot of people have a lack of knowledge of spending and investing, and
Yes.
or somebody always, definitely we don't trust each other. Somebody gonna always think somebody trying to have more or get over.
But that's the thing. People saying they don't trust each other, but you'll trust a bank that you don't even know with your money, or you'll trust your kids in the schools with these people you don't even know just because they say they teachers or they got a degree. But we're trusting our children. We're trusting our children with strangers. We're trusting our bodies with these doctors. We going in the stores, buying this food. We trusting that these foods is good that we eating, but we can't trust one another. We can't trust the person that we laying beside every day, but they study having children with them,
Ain't that the
but they don't
truth?
trust them. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that come on. You'll go right up to the store and spend $100 on lottery tickets, trusting that you gonna win, but you not.
I tell that's that Willie Lynch, y'all. Willie
You you
Lynch.
you go buy a car and trusting that it's gonna get you back and forth to work, and then it break down on you. It's a recall. You get in the air with that plane and they come down. You trusting that pilot gonna get you from point A to point B in the air safely. You in the air with somebody with your whole life, but you are trust to go spend $1,000 on a ticket to go to another country.
Mm,
Come on.
mm, mm, mm.
Excuse me, y'all.
You preaching.
Yeah, no, go for it.
Yeah,
But
you preaching.
how, but we
Mm,
so those type of people there, I don't even want to be around. When you say you don't trust your own culture, that means you don't trust me. Period. We ain't got nothing to talk about
Mm.
because everybody. You done trusted these white folks this long, and now we done effed around and found out.
mm-hmm. That's why we have to get our minds right. A lot of us have to get our minds right, y'all. I'm telling you, we have a lot of work to do.
Mm-hmm.
I done put more trust in a black person than I done put in a white person any day.
Same here.
I will. I'm not gonna
Mm-hmm.
go against my own kind for nobody. I'm not gonna put my
Mm-hmm.
whole heart in nobody that look different than me. I come from a black man and a black woman, so why would I wasn't never trained to not um trust my black people. You can't you supposed to have you you don't trust nobody, but you have to go in with discernment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And some of these beings out here who look like us, some of them are struggling with self-love.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So those are the ones that you have to be careful with, though, sis.
Mm-hmm.
Until they get it right.
But when
Mm-hmm.
you cover when you're covered and you walking in the whole armory, that those type of things you don't worry about because
Mm-hmm.
we have to walk by faith. How can we be women and men of God and we supposed to be walking in God image and we want him to forgive us. We want him to bless us. But we straddling the fence. It's either we
Mm-hmm.
all in or we all out. Because every culture, every race has evil people.
Mm-hmm.
People
Mm-hmm.
gonna show up. People gonna show their true identity. Rather, the people show up, wolves show up in sheep clothing all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, we have to just know and keep it moving. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it just that's just what it is. You have to, life is about taking risks. Business is about taking risks. And we take risks with our lives every day when we depend on somebody to feed us and to put something in our body. And if we could trust them to feed us, I'm quite sure we could trust our fellow brothers and sisters. If
Indeed.
we can't trust each other, then we don't need to be sitting breaking bread, conversating with each other, sitting
Mm-hmm.
up here on shooting hope in the air. There's no
Mm-hmm.
reason for that.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, 50 years ago, we had that love and trust for each other. It
Mm-hmm.
was strong. I remember that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. We definitely should have been able to build more Black Wall Streets by now.
Indeed. Indeed. But it's not too late. We can
But that's
start
because
tomorrow.
people want to go other places and build up other economies instead of building up their own. If you if a person grew up in Chicago or somewhere or anywhere they have grew up, they should go back there and give back to their community where they started at, not going somewhere else and building up communities.
I agree.
Why,
And a
why
lot
would you
of
go? Why would you go clear across the country to try to build up another community when you done these people done saw you snotty nose running around barefoot and everything. You got memories in your community. You don't want to see your community shine.
exactly. This is why my platform is the way it is. I'm constantly flooding my platform with information and posters and memes to kind of like help program and condition our minds to get back like how our ancestors, how they used to think. More unity.
People charging you $1,000 for information because they done Googled it or whatever it is. You supposed to be out here telling the story, educating, not giving the knowledge to our people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If they take it and they use it, okay. Some not gonna use it. But the
You
ones
need
who do use it, you done touch somebody.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
You're
real
right.
talk. That's real talk. Yeah. Well, it's 9:42 now. We could be all night. We may have to do a part two on this. What you think, Princess?
Maybe so, It's a lot of subjects to touch on when it comes to us, especially here in America.
Mm-hmm.
So, you
Yep.
know,
It's time for the FBA to band up and unify. We got to unify or we gonna die out here if we don't hurry up and get
Yeah.
unified.
We
I'm
can't
sorry.
wait. We got to do it now, sisters.
Right
We
now.
got to do this stuff now. It's no waiting. You got to start now. Soon as you hang up this Zoom, you got to be doing it now. You got to be walking the walk and talking the talk. All if not, all the weak gonna fall by the wayside, and only the strong gonna survive.
You
Because
better
right
know
now
it.
it's the survival of the fittest. And if
Mm,
we don't, and we are in some deep trouble. And
ain't
it's gonna be
that?
some,
Mm-hmm.
and things gonna start heating up if
Mm,
we don't start preparing ourselves, preparing our
mm,
homes.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Speaking, yeah, because I also want us, speaking of just being an FBA, I want us to touch on our health issues here in America. There's too much hypertension, diabetes, sickness, and disease. A lot of that is, lifestyle and diet. I don't, they always say everything is hereditary, but I do believe that diet and lifestyle play a big part in that. You know what I mean? Uh,
Definitely.
so I would definitely love for us to do something talking about that next, on
Yeah.
our health.
Starting gardens in y'all yard.
Hmm.
Start
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
growing foods that you all like to eat so you don't have to depend on going in these big box stores, buying this food, connecting with local gardeners or farmers in your communities. See
Mm-hmm.
who in a 50-mile radius who is selling fresh produce, fresh,
Hmm.
whatever you eat.
Organic.
There are people out there selling that, small businesses. Now is the time to connect with all small businesses. This is
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
the time that small businesses are going to be thriving because
Hmm.
people are getting away from these big box stores. If you're trying to boycott or stop shopping at these big box stores, you need to start shopping local, and that's local in your economy, because so the people that are local with you will able to put back into your economic, into your community, and building
Hmm.
up the economics. You're not going to be able to build the economics trying to buy all around the world.
Hmm.
Exactly.
You have to buy within your community.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Build up your community, doing community gardens, getting with these, churches, getting with the city, seeing these vacant lots, put in, because a lot of the inner cities do have food deserts and we don't even know it. You got little
Mm.
kids that are in the inner cities that are starving, that don't have nothing to eat. Their
I
mamas
heard
can't
about that.
So it's a lot of places that are suffering with food deserts where we as community leaders need to go into these communities and starting community gardens to
Definitely.
help
Yeah.
feed these families.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I
Yeah.
That's
agree.
when you're going to
So
start
yeah.
gaining that's when you're going to start gaining the respect and the rapport with your community, and now you're able to go in and build Black Wall Street within your community,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I know
Yeah.
that's right.
opening up jobs, creating jobs,
Mm-hmm.
paying the little old lady down the street to come clean your house.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, that's definitely what I think we're going to be tackling. I believe next month um is our diet and our health. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Any last minute words? And I'll tell you, I'm so grateful to all you ladies and the panelists for coming, giving us your time and sharing your wisdom with us. I learned a lot from you all tonight too. Yeah, we thank you
Indeed.
so much.
Yeah. For those who couldn't stay, appreciate them as well. Yeah.
Definitely. And Sister Princess and I both. And you all know, you all following us on public platforms, and I think I'm following all you ladies on platform too, on Facebook and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Let's link up.
Indeed. Well, this has been a good conversation.
Hmm.
Um, definitely so. Appreciate everyone for coming and thank you for staying with us this long. Those who stayed, I know it's Sunday and everybody's preparing for this new week, so we definitely appreciate you for sticking it out with us for the full session.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Also, everyone in the YouTube chat who stuck it out with us as well.
Hmm.
Well, that being said, we're going to go ahead and get up out of here and see you guys next month. We will be sending out the invitation that don't have a title for it yet, but we will be discussing our health. We have someone coming in talking about parasites. We have Sister Tangia. I believe we locked her in, but for us talking about farming and planting food and things of that nature. Um, Maybe we can either, I don't know, put her on the spot, but Sister Bia, if we can get her to come in and help us talk about the mental health. You know, we want to talk about all things. Look, she looked at the camera. We want to deal with
Definitely,
all aspects of our health next month.
definitely. I look forward to it, ladies.
Mm-hmm.
All
And
right, y'all have a
then
good night.
you too.
Good night.
Love you all.
I love you more.
Right.
Good night. Good
Mhm.
night.